Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturned. In this video I'm going to turn this ash plate from a piece of dry ash like this one. Now in this case I did not turn it green, I slabbed it out and let it dry, and there were defects that appeared in the course of drying, and it took a long time to dry. It took longer than it should have, but anyway. And then turn it down as opposed to turning it green. In the process I discovered this knot. Had I turned it green I would have seen that earlier and been able to make a choice as to whether to finish it or my strategy from that point. As is, I found it late. I decided not to fill it, let it just be a feature for this. A key decision in the early part of this one was whether to use a screw chuck or my pin faceplate. It was a close call. Pin faceplate can only be pressed with the live center, with the wood on the other side, and in this case I had to use a sacrificial tenon in order to be able to flip it back and forth. No big deal. Also a good tool, but it requires a fairly flat side that I didn't have this time, and a hole of the correct diameter and the correct depth. And when you're turning a plate, it's very easy to drill too deep, but you have to use spacers or be very, very careful. So those are the questions. That's the process. For now, let's go ahead and turn this ash plate with this decorative knot. I harvested this ash slab over a decade ago in Oregon when some friends cut down a couple of large trees. Needless to say, it is now bone dry. However, I am concerned about a large crack on one side. It appears that I left too much of the pith in this blank. It also has a nice kink from warping. If I'm going to have to fill that crack, I want it on the top side of this platter, so I need to pay attention to which side is which when I mount it. Often I have mounted this sort of project with a screw center. That requires a correct hole size and a fairly flat side. I don't have a flat side. I am mounting this wood to my pin faceplate. That will compensate for the irregular surface. However, I cannot finish the bottom side with the wood pressed against the pin faceplate with the live center. As a compromise, I am mounting the wood with the top side to the live center. After I round off the wood, I will cut a temporary tenon. An additional bonus, I do not have to worry about drilling the hole too deep. I do not need one. With very little wood to be removed from the top, I have to focus on the perimeter. Still, I make the cut from the softer side grain, if you can call ash a soft side grain. Anytime the gouge starts bouncing, I know I am pressing too hard and need to back off and or change my angle. With the perimeter cut, I am approaching what will be the top and the temporary tenon. I am still using my large bowl gouge. It appears that I am going to be cutting away most of that crack. That is good news. Then cut a temporary tenon. Boy, this ash is hard. Another reason I enjoy turning wet wood. Wet wood is much softer. That was the rough part. I can now remount the wood into the chuck. This side will become the bottom of the platter. I am keeping the live center in place for insurance for as long as possible. I trim the side with my large bowl gouge, then stop to measure my largest chuck jaws for an expansion mount. I transfer this measure to the wood with the lathe off. For this I mark a likely spot on the wood, then rotate the mark by hand to the other side. Then measure again to see if I need to adjust it. To me, this is much safer than trying to touch dividers to moving wood. Then cut the mortise for the mount with a spindle gouge and a skew as a negative rake scraper. With the mortise now defined, I can start shaping the bottom. I want a good amount of wood around the mortise to avoid the potential of it splitting out from the pressure. A knot has appeared in the mortise area with some wood gone. I think I will leave it as is. Then a bit of an OG curve before I sand the bottom thoroughly. With sanding complete, I cut a couple of decorative grooves in the mortise, then touch up the sanding and apply walnut oil to the bottom side. This is finished. I will not mount for this side again. Now reverse the platter into an expansion hold on the jaws. I can now attack the top side again with my large bowl gouge. As I shape the platter, I am not seeing a platter here. Instead, I am seeing a plate. What's the difference? I believe it is a fine line. To me, a platter is large with a flat surface that other items such as glasses can sit on. So this is becoming a plate. That crack is all gone, however, that knot from the bottom side is becoming a problem. It is now showing up on the top side. Whew! Part of that knot just flew across my shop. Now there is a hole. This is now a decorative plate showing off the knot. I have to remove the live center. It's time to finish the center and be more gentle. I finish up with a heavy bowl scraper before thoroughly sanding this side. Finally, apply walnut oil to the top side. This plate has been 13 years in the making, at least from cutting the tree to finished plate. The plate is pretty. The knot is a feature. Any attempt to fill this knot would detract from this plate. I'm leaving it to stand on its own merits. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, and tell your friends. I appreciate your comments and questions. Every week, I make a new wood turning video and add to the over 400 videos on my website. As usual, I appeal to you to wear your full face shield anytime the lathe is running. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.